I'm going to preview the 1 seed Iowa versus the 5 seed Colorado women's basketball game, which will be played on March 30th at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on ABC, and it will be played in Albany, New York, in MVP Arena. I'm going to say this up front. I know that Iowa did not have Molly Davis. First of all, I mean she didn't play, and I'm just going to go like players that played last game to just make it quicker and all this. So as well as keys for the game for both of these teams. So it's in general. And I apologize if I'm looking down because I cannot memorize all this stuff. First of all, I'm going to just go over Molly Davis just to get it out of the way. For Iowa, it's 6.1 points per game, 2.6 rebounds per game, 3.1 assists per game, zero point 0.7 steals per game, 1.2 turnovers per game, 1.3 fouls per game, 85.7% on free throws on 28 attempts, 40.7% on threes on 54 attempts. So that's just getting that out of the way right there, just to make it clear. Because I know she did get hurt. And she didn't play last game or the game before, I believe. But, obviously I got to start with Caitlin Clark. Obviously I have to start with her. And 31.8 points per game, 7.3 rebounds per game, 8.8 assists per game, 1.8 steals per game, 4.9 turnovers per game, which that has to be cut down. But with all those assists, it's bound to happen on the turnovers. 1.9 fouls per game, 86.2% on free throws on 246 attempts, 37.9% on threes on 477 attempts. And then I'm going to go with Hannah Stolke, 4.1 points per game, 6.7 rebounds per game, 0.8 steals per game, 1.7 turnovers per game, 2.5 rebounds per game, 62% on free throws on 129 attempts, 4 for 8 on threes. So that's, and then Cynthia Falter, 7.9 points per game, 6.6 rebounds per game, 2.3 assists per game, 0.9 turnovers per game, 1.1 steals per game, 1.7 fouls per game, 84.6% on threes on 91 attempts, 39.2% on free throws on 51 attempts. On threes on 51 attempts. So, yeah. And there's Gabby Marshall that I need to go ahead and mention. 5.9 points per game, 1.1 steals per game, 0.6 turnovers per game, 1.2 fouls per game, 5 for 10 on free throws, 34.8% on threes on 164 attempts. Kate Martin, 12.8 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game, 0.9 steals per game, 1.8 fouls per game, 1.6 fouls, 1.8 turnovers per game, 1.6 fouls per game, 85.7% on threes on 91 attempts, 38% on threes on 121 attempts. And I know their bench doesn't play that much, or didn't play that much last game. So Addison O'Grady, 4.2 points per game, 1.9 rebounds per game, since it's so close to 2. 0.6 turnovers per game, 1.4 fouls per game, 50% on free throws on 32 attempts, and that's all you got to know about that. And there's Taylor McCabe, 3.8 points per game. That's pretty much all of that, besides like 5.5 for 6 on free throws, which is 83.3%, and 46.7% on threes on 75 attempts. So she's really in there to just shoot threes if she does shoot. And the last player I'm going to mention is Kylie Feuerbach, 2.8 points per game, 0.7 steals per game, 0.8 turnovers per game, 1.1 fouls per game, 76.9% on free throws on 26 attempts, 29.4% on threes on 68 attempts. But she was a good 30% shooter last year, so that's just naming some players right there. And I will say Colorado is very experienced, just like Iowa is when you look at it. And Colorado is a dangerous team for Iowa. That team beat LSU, which early on in the year. And I don't know about anything about Colorado health issues. So, Okay, first of all, Quay Miller. I know it's not in particular order on the points per game stuff, but still, 9 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, 1 point. I mean, what 0.9 steals per game, 2.4 turns per game, 1.9 fouls per game, 76.1% on free throws on 71 attempts, 33% on threes on 91 attempts. Erin Vonleh, which she will be back next year, I believe. Yeah, she's not a senior, but I don't think she's about 21 years old. So 14 points per game, but you never know with the transfer world these days. 5.2 rebounds per game, one steal per game, 1.1 blocks per game, 1.7 turnovers per game, 2.5 fouls per game, 63.1% on free throws on 111 attempts, 1 for 8 on threes, which is 12.5%. So she's not a 3-point shooter. And Frida Foreman, you definitely keep in mind of 12.5 points per game, 2 rebounds per game, 2.1 assists per game, 1.1 steals per game, 2 turnovers per game, 1.7 fouls per game. 91.3% on free throws on 69 attempts, 42.2% on threes on 187 attempts. Maddie Nolan, which she's a grad transfer from Michigan. Yeah, I know about Maddie Nolan. She played against Baylor a few times, so I'm just saying. 6.5 points per game, 2.5 rebounds per game, 0.6 steals per game, 1.4 fouls per game, 9 for 10 on free throws, 43.5% on threes on 131 attempts. And Jalen Sherrod, obviously, 12.9 points per game, 3.1 rebounds per game, 4.9 assists per game, 2.4 turns per game, 2.2 steals per game, 2.5 fouls per game, 77.8% on free throws on 153 attempts, 23.9% on threes on 67 attempts. So she's more like a driver, it seems. But okay, the first player I'm going to mention off the bench that played the most last game is Kendall Wetta. 5.9 points per game, 30.4 rebounds per game, 3.9 assists per game, 1.6 turns per game, 1.7 steals per game, 2.4 fouls per game, 69.6% on free throws on 46 attempts, 32.4% on threes on 37 attempts. And there's Sadler from Colorado, which her first name is Tamia. 5.5 points per game, 2.2 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game, 1.8 turnovers per game, 1.3 steals per game, 1.3 fouls per game, 64% on free throws on 25 attempts, 30.8% on threes on 39 attempts. I'm just going to go ahead and mention the other players that played off the bench for Colorado, even if it's like 7 minutes or less. And that's Sarah Rose Smith, 3.8 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 0.6 steals per game, 0.8 turnovers per game, 1.2 fouls per game, 63.6% on free throws on 11 attempts, 30.8% on threes on 26 attempts. Okay. Charlotte Whitaker, 3.1 points per game, 2 rebounds per game, 0.8 turnovers per game, 1.8 fouls per game, 52.9% on free throws on 17 attempts, 2 for 12 on threes that's 16.7%. So she's not a 3-point shooter when she gets to play. And the last player I'm going to mention is Breon McLeod, 1.3 points per game, 0.6 fouls per game, no threes attempted, 6 for 11 on free throws, which is 54.5%. So obviously you want to limit your foul trouble while getting the other team in foul trouble. You got to stay composed. You don't want to get a technical foul or flagrant 1 or flagrant 2. You got to make adjustments on the fly, both offensively and defensively, not just from first half to second half, first quarter, second quarter, but possession by possession, timeout to timeout, or media break. You got to contain the shooters, contain the slashers. You got to make the other team uncomfortable, offensively and defensively. You got to rebound their team on both ends of the floor. Just saying that. You got to get some transition points, fast break points, points in the paint. You got to make your free throws count. But you don't want another team to live at the free throw line either. Of course, you want to limit all those on defense and second chance points as well. You got to make you don't want to get the other team to the free throw line that much. You got to take care of the ball because sometimes your best offense is against free throw defense. Even if you get turnovers, make sure it's a dead ball one, but you don't want to have like live ball turnovers. And that's the thing. You want to obviously get the opposing team and big enough foul trouble, especially the better players in all this. I'm trying to think. What else? What else should I say? You got to hustle the other team. You got to. I mean, that's the thing. In one of these games, you got to find a way to scrap to win sometimes. And you got to see what the other team is doing, and you got to withstand runs. Got to be the more mentally tougher team and all this, not just physically. You got to be ball tough, as in like don't let the other team rip the ball away from you or get to so many jump ball situations unless it just so happens on the floor and all that. And you got to execute your plays down the stretch. You don't want to have like illegal screens or offensive fouls, obviously, because that can make a difference sometimes. And you got to get good shot selection. Well, on defense, you got to try to make it as difficult as possible. So, anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later. On the road to 600 subscribers, of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 more. So, when money out this course, liking the video, commenting the video really helps YouTube algorithm. So more people can see it. Sharing the video does help as well, so more people can watch. And if you're watching and not subscribed, hit subscribe button. It's free the notification bell as well. And Colorado plays very similar to West Virginia in a way, though they have a better offense, but on defense, it's not good too. I mean, that's the truth.